Welcome back to PT Time with Tim. I'm Dr. Tim, a licensed physical therapist. Today's topic is foam rolling. So foam rolling has become increasingly popular in the past few years. It is by far one of my favorite things to do. It has a lot of benefits, all right? So it can increase range of motion, reduce muscle soreness, improve flexibility, improve blood circulation, reduce joint stiffness. I could go on and on. Bottom line, foam rolling can help you maintain optimal mobility. So starting off with the basics of foam rollers, you got to first choose the length of the foam roller that you're going to get. So this one right here is about 17 inches long, and this is about the perfect length of the ones that I normally get. They're easy to store, and you can still do a lot with them. They also come in 36 inches, so you're talking a nice long one. And those basically can be used for full body exercises. You can do some stretches on them, that kind of thing. Some people really like the long ones. They also come in 12-inch ones. So this one right here is about 12 inches long. And these would be better for travel if you need like really, if space is a big important choice for you. So you might want to look at the shorter ones. Next, you want to look at the foam type or the density of the foam roller. So this one right here is an Amazon Basics one, and I'll link all the foam rollers in the description below so you can go find them. But this is an Amazon Basics one. It is made of high density foam, so it's pretty strong, it's pretty stout. It's a really good starter foam roller, so I usually recommend this one to my beginner patients because it's cheap. I mean, they're like $20 for these, so I mean, it's a really good deal, and they do last quite a while. But because it is a cheaper foam roller, it's not going to have the longevity, the long-term longevity as some of the higher end foam rollers, and that makes sense, right? So that's why I think this Amazon Basics foam roller is a really good starting point. Next, we'll move up to the softer density but higher quality foam roller, and this one's made by a company called OPTP, and again, you can find these on Amazon. This one only comes in the 36-inch length. I actually cut mine down to get 2 of them out of it, so I cut it in half. So this is, approximately 18 inches or so, or maybe even a little longer. But this one will last for years. I've had this, I want to say I've probably had this for 10 years. I mean, and it's still going strong. So it's probably $50 or $60 in price, so it's a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get a much better quality. Moving on, for my advanced patients, once you get used to foam rolling, you're definitely going to want to move up the chain in density or strength of the foam roller. This foam roller is by a company called TriggerPoint. This is a TriggerPoint grid. It's kind of got this grid texture on it, and it's hollow. So it is like a PVC pipe on the inside. And that PVC pipe, that plastic core to it, gives it a real rigid kind of structure to it. So it's very strong. If you're a beginner, don't start with this one, trust me. This is something, if you've been foam rolling for a few months, you're getting used to the sensations that it gives you, then you might be ready to move up to one of these hollow core foam rollers. But these are really good quality ones. This is the one that I use for my everyday. If you are traveling, and if you know me well, I love to travel. My wife and I travel all the time, as often as possible. There are certain travel foam rollers. So my first one is a deep recovery foam roller. So you can tell the diameter of it is much smaller. It's about 12 inches in length, and it is packable. It's made of that high density foam that the other Amazon Basics foam roller is made of, and it really does the job quite nicely, and it doesn't take up much space. Lastly, my newest foam roller is made by a company called Brazyn. Okay, so this is called the Brazyn Morph, and it is a collapsible foam roller. So as you can see, it collapses into about 2 inches in width. It's about 16 inches long. So it's obviously very packable. I actually fit this in my carry-on luggage. And when you're ready for it, you pull the strings outward. These little end caps pop out, locks it in, and now you've got your full-size foam roller. So basically, I mean, it is a full foam roller that just collapses all the way down. So I loved it. I took this to Peru and it took up minimal space in my luggage and it was perfect. First, I'm going to show you how to use the foam roller for your lower body. So to begin, I usually start off rolling my quads and I'll place one leg or even both legs. If you're a real beginner, you can just start with both legs. But you want to start just below the hips, so on the top side of the thighs, and lift your legs up. Keep your core tight because you don't really want to get a whole bunch of lumbar extension in your back. You want to protect your spine, so keep that belly tight, belly button pulled in. And then you'll start to roll forward, so the foam roller is traveling down towards your knees. And what you're going to feel, what I call speed bumps. So whenever you have a tight area in your muscles, you're going to feel a lump in there, and it's going to be a tender lump. It's basically a trigger point, as some of us know to be called. And so when you feel those trigger points, it's going to kind of be a bump that rolls over. And then when you find those areas, you have two choices. You can either hold on that bump, so stay right on top of it for about 30 seconds, or you can slowly roll back and forth over it, massaging that area out. So it's like a deep tissue massage. That's basically what you're using that foam roller for. You're using your body weight to provide a deep tissue massage to that tight area in the muscle. And we're trying to work those tight areas out. That's going to improve the flexibility of the muscle, improve the circulation through the muscles. It's going to help improve the range of motion through the joints that those muscles cross. So you want to spend about 30 seconds kind of working those areas out. If you're feeling adventurous, you could go to one leg and just work on one leg at a time. So that's basically the hip flexors and the quadriceps. Now moving on to the next one would be your IT band, your iliotibial band, which runs from the outside of your pelvis down the outside of your thigh towards your knee. This is notoriously tight if you're active, say a runner or a hiker. You're going up and down inclines, declines, any kind of jumping, high intensity exercise. So this really helps maintain optimal mobility in your legs for those individuals. So basically for the IT band, start just above the knee and you'll start to roll up towards the hip. And then basically for the IT band, you want to stop before you get to that outer hip bone. You'll feel a bone here on the outside of the hip. You do not want to roll over the bone. There's a bursa there. There's a fluid-filled sac called a bursa that you just don't want to put pressure on. So we want to stop before we get to the bone there. And then we'll go back and forth, checking the outside of the leg. And so that's how you get your IT band. So the next muscle group that we're going to target are your hamstrings. So the hamstrings run on the back side of your thighs. So for the hamstrings, I usually just do one side at a time. You can do both sides. It's just, you just don't get a lot of pressure on them. So you can do it this way, but I tend to like to do one leg at a time. Starting just above the knee on the back side of the thigh, place both hands next to you, lift your butt up off the floor, and then roll up towards your butt until you get close to that sit bone, and then roll back towards the knee. Now, moving on to the calf muscles, the lower leg muscles, usually start off with both legs at the same time, which can get a bit tiring. Just make sure you take breaks as needed. So you start off just below the knee, rolling towards the ankles. So you actually have two different calf muscles. The upper calf muscle, kind of up here, is your gastrocnemius. And then as you get from the mid calf down towards the ankle, that's actually the soleus muscle. And I will also roll both legs to one side to isolate either side on each leg. And then I'll roll them the other way, kind of spot checking, finding where are the tightest areas. Now, when you're ready for it, I like to do the crossover method. So I'm going to take one leg, cross it over top of the other one, which is going to compound my body weight and really let me work into that calf muscle. So this is a really good one. Feels really good afterwards. It loosens those calf muscles up, which it just can be so problematic. So the last muscle group that I'm going to show you how to use the foam roller for are the glutes. So for the glutes, basically I'm going to lean to the outside, okay? And that's because you have a sciatic nerve that exits the deep center part of your buttock, and you do not want to put excessive compression on the sciatic nerve because that can give you pain running kind of down the back of the leg. So we don't want to do that. So in order to not do that, you're going to roll to the outside, cross your leg in a little figure four cross-legged position, stay on the outside of your glute. Typically, I come down to my forearm, and then I find those tight areas on the outside of my hip. Typically for the hip, I just relax on it. So I am focusing on actually relaxing my hip muscles because it's kind of awkward in the hip to roll back and forth. It doesn't work quite as well as the lower legs. So I just tend to relax in this area, stay 30 seconds or a minute until I actually feel like those muscles are relaxing. And then I'll spend 3 or 4 minutes on each side. So the next body parts I'm going to show you are for your upper body. First, we'll start off with your thoracic spine. So that's kind of the upper and mid back area. In the morning, most of us tend to wake up and we're really stiff in our upper back. Or if you're an office worker, you're working from home in front of your computer a lot, you have a lot of postural pain or stiffness, tightness. This is a really good one for you to do. So you start with the foam roller at the top of your shoulder blades. Tuck your chin to protect your neck. So just a little chin tuck. You're going to give yourself a big bear hug, a big bear hug where you're actually trying to touch your shoulder blades, okay? So not this one kind of with just the arms crossed, but actually trying to touch your shoulder blades. That actually takes your shoulder blades, pulls it away from your spine, so it opens up the muscles to the foam roller that's in between your shoulder blades and your spine. It works a lot better. So give yourself that big bear hug, chin tucked, raise your hips up gently, and then start to roll up the foam roller so it's going down your back toward your mid back. You'll probably get some manipulation of the spine, so you might feel some of that cracking going on, but that's just basically improving your joint mobility. It's reducing the joint stiffness. So every morning I love to do this one because it just feels so good afterwards. It loosens that spine up big time. So I'll start in the center like this, just going straight up and down. Then I'll roll gently to one side. So the muscles on the right side of my spine are going to be isolated now. And I'll find some trigger points there. I'll reset when I get tired. So if your neck gets tired, just take a short break. Let those muscles recover. Then get back on it. I'll roll to the left this time. So I'm isolating the muscles on the left side of my spine. I'll just kind of go back side to side. Our next area that we're going to target is the low back. So if you have low back pain or low back tightness, stiffness, this exercise is for you. I will start out with this warning that in order to use the foam roller on your low back, you need to have a good level of core stability or core strength in order to do it safely, because you can actually strain your low back when you're doing this if you don't have a strong core. So if you have a strong core and you feel safe doing this, then you can try this out. So basically for the low back, you're going to start out with the foam roller almost at your mid spine level. I like to grab both of my lower legs with my legs bent. This gives me a little bit of assist. So if you do have a little bit of weaker core, it's just a nice assist that you can do with your hands. You'll raise your hips up. Again, keep your chin tucked and starting to roll just a little bit. I mean, the low back area is not very big, so we're just kind of rocking back and forth. And I'll start off by leaning to one side. So I'm going to start off isolating the muscles on the left side of my spine, and I'm going to feel and see if they feel tight or tender. And if they do, I'm going to kind of roll back and forth, just kind of holding my thighs, giving myself a little assist. My core is tight. Then I'll reset, isolate the right side of my low back. And now I notoriously have chronic low back pain. And so this exercise is part of my daily routine to maintain a healthy lumbar spine along with my core stabilization, my back strengthening exercises. I do this foam rolling on my low back every day to loosen it up. And so I'll roll back and forth on this one for a minute or so, and then I'll go to the center, and I'll roll to the left, and I'll just go back and forth until it feels like I've loosened those low back muscles up. The next area of your upper body that you can use the foam roller for is your lats. So your lats are located here on the side of your rib cage. They attach kind of up here. In order to do the lats, you have to lie on your side. And you kind of get your shoulder blade leaning into the foam roller, and you can roll back and forth slightly, but you can't go very far. And so you're just, if you find some tightness and tenderness in there, just kind of relax on it. Try to relax that arm. You can kind of come up higher. But basically, once you get down to the ribs, it doesn't feel very good. So I don't recommend going any further on the side of the ribs. It's not very comfortable. But right in that shoulder blade area on the outside, you can target those lat muscles. Finally, the last exercise for the foam roller that I'm going to show you is how to stretch your pec muscles. So if you do work on a computer and you're constantly, or you have that bad posture where your shoulders are forward, you're closing down the muscles on the front side where your pecs are located in your chest. We want to open that area up. So for the pec stretch on the foam roller, this is when that 36-inch foam roller really comes in handy, because if you have the long one, you can actually lay directly on the entire foam roller and your head can rest on it as well. But if you have a shorter one, all you need to do is grab a couple pillows, place them, because you do want to have some head support. That way you can protect your neck. So what I'll do is I'm going to lie directly on the foam roller, putting it in the thoracic spine. I've got pillow support for my head. And then I'm going to come out to, you get a few different positions that you can check for the pec tightness. And you just find which one you're tightest in, and then just stretch that area. So to start, I'm going to kind of come up in this goalpost 90-90 position. I have a 90-degree bend at my armpit and a 90-degree bend at my elbow. So it's that goalpost position. And I'm just going to rest there and relax and see how much tightness I feel in the front of my chest. I'm going to hold that for about a minute. If that doesn't feel very tight, I can come up into this Y position and with my palms facing the ceiling, see how tight that is. I can bring my arms down to the sides into a T position. That's usually a pretty good one because that puts the longest lever arm length, so you get the most torque for the pec stretch there. You can come down to the sides even. And so this is purely a relaxation stretch. You are opening up the chest. Feels very good after a long day at work when you come home and you just need to open that back up. So you can spend a few minutes here stretching out the pecs. One of the most common questions I get is, how often can I foam roll? I basically say, if you're just starting out, foam roll every other day until you get used to it, because it definitely is painful in the beginning. It hurts to be rolling out those trigger points, just like you're getting a deep tissue massage. But then once you get used to it and you start to see the mobility, the flexibility benefits from it, then you can start to foam roll every day. Typically, one foam roll session for me is about 5 to 10 minutes. Thanks for stopping by PT Time with Tim. You definitely want to continue watching my best hip stretches or my best low back stretches videos next as you continue on your pathway to living a healthy and active lifestyle.